tailor-made or one-size-fits-all. With a hybrid, you don't have to choose. That's why insurers are going hybrid with IBM. With Watson on a hybrid cloud, they can use AI to help predict client needs and get the data they need to quickly design coverage for each one. Businesses that want personalization and speed are going with a smarter hybrid cloud using the technology and expertise of IBM. The world is going hybrid with IBM. Visit ibm.com/hybrid cloud.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's Saturday edition of Stuff You Should Know, the Selects edition. This is my pick this week, and I'm going to go with How Hip-Hop Works from July 11, 2013, a little more than 4 years ago, and I just remember this being a great episode. I learned a lot about it, and I was someone who was into the music side of hip-hop in college, but hip-hop is much more than music. It's about an entire culture, which encompasses many different things, so give it a listen, and as always, if you've heard it once, you might find something new upon a second listen, and I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know from HowStuffWorks.com.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh Clark. There's Charles W. Chuck Bryant. I'm on mic 1. He's on mic 3. Jerry's on the wheels of steel. And this is Stuff You Should Know, the podcast.
That's right. Terminator X is to our right.
Yes. That's you, Jerry.
That's my favorite DJ.
Is it?
Oh, man. Unbelievable stuff.
I think DJ Hurricane is pretty great.
Yeah.
It's
well,
pretty great.
True.
Yeah. I mean, if you go back and listen to Beastie Boys stuff, the stuff that he was doing,
yeah,
it's like I grew up with it, so I took it for granted. But
sure.
Like with many things, as a grown-up now, I'm looking back and like, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah. I'm still going to go with Terminator X, just like by fractions of a point, though.
Yeah.
I put them at the top.
Yeah.
Not like Kool Herc.
Hey, Kool Herc, man. He's what they call the OG Chuck.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, we should say that we're foraying into territory where we have little to no business because we're pretty square. But we can still talk about hip-hop.
That's not true. I was into this stuff at one point.
I was into it, too. I'm still square.
Yeah, but I think we have business, just as much business as we would any other music.
All right, fine.
You know?
We're cool then, man. We're cool. Is that cool?
Okay, you don't have any business doing this.
So we're talking about hip-hop today. It has a very long tradition that dates all the way back to Africa, which, as we'll see. But then the modern incarnation is a little more recent. Still, it's kind of old.
Yeah.
It's got some pretty surprising and interesting roots. But we should say, and this is something that I was always hung up on for a long time, and Catherine Neer, who wrote this article, goes to points this out. The difference between hip-hop and rap. They're not the same thing.
Right. It's like the square and the rectangle thing.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on. No, hip-hop is more like it's a cultural movement. It's more than just rap. Rap is a type of music that falls under the umbrella of hip-hop. So you can say that rap is part of hip-hop.
Right.
But hip-hop is not
necessarily rap.
Yeah.
Like the square and the rectangle.
They go hand in hand, though, you know?
Yeah, and I was trying to find out who coined the term hip-hop. And it's one of those things where there's a bunch of people that kind of get credit for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everyone from, some people say Keith Cowboy Wiggins from Grandmaster Flash. He was definitely the one. And then other people say, no, it was DJ Hollywood or Lovebug Starsky. Then other people say, what about Sugar Hill Gang or Herc?
Sure.
So I don't know if it's been pinpointed, but it was used in print in 1981 for the first time in the Village Voice, although it was surely used in the late 70s and, on the street.
Yeah, because Herc he coined a lot of terms. Like, that's one of the interesting things about this is, like, we can trace it back pretty confidently and find, like, actual origins of this, what's become this global, international, cultural phenomenon.
We have seen the birth of a new music form in our lifetimes, which is pretty cool.
We have.
And that's the only one.
No, that's not true. What about, like, electronica?
Yeah, I guess so, but you could also say that was sort of the same as, like, synthesizer from, like, the 70s.
Right.
Yeah, but that was, like, used in rock and roll. I don't know. Maybe that counts.
I think it counts.
You do?
Sure. Electronica, hip-hop.
EDM, that's electronica, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, electronic dance music.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I would say, I would say that qualifies. Even still, it doesn't diminish the birth of hip-hop.
No, of course not.
I mean, there's two. That's better than one, right?
That's right.
So, Chuck, when you're talking hip-hop and you talk to a cultural historian about hip-hop and say, what is hip-hop? They're pretty much going to give you 4 aspects that combined make up the cultural movement of hip-hop, right?
Yeah, and Catherine, who wrote this, is a cultural historist.
That's what they call it.
Historian. And I can't remember her graduate degree, but it has something to do with this very closely. I just can't remember exactly what it was in. So that's why when you read this, you're like, man, Catherine really got into this article.
For sure. It's,
it's
pretty broad, and there's a lot of info here.
Yeah, so we should get to it. The 4 things, and it started out as just like graffiti, breakdancing, MCing and DJing and rapping. These days, you might see it portrayed more as visual arts, graffiti included in that, but film and other graphic arts. Written and spoken word, so not just rapping and MCing, but performance poetry. Physical movement, which is not just breakdancing, but a lot of dance styles.
Right.
Including my favorite, the crumping.
Crumping's pretty cool.
Dude, it's unbelievable.
Just somebody going nuts.
It's awesome and so like herky-jerky yet controlled. And I could never in my wildest dreams do it. So I think that's why it appeals to me.
But that's the fact that it's not controller, doesn't appear control is what differentiates it from the herky-jerky dancer from Mr. Show. Remember him?
Yeah. And then the final one is style, which is of course fashion and, just the hip hop style in general.
Right.
Everything from clothing to bling and, the lifestyle.
Yep.
All right.
Like we said, the history of hip hop, especially the music, can be traced all the way back to Africa. And we would trace the modern birth of it to the South Bronx, the South Bronx.
Yeah.
But leading up to that, you would join the slave ships coming into the West Indies, as they were called back then. And these slaves who were captured and transported to the New World, I'm making air quotes, brought with them this tradition called griotism, which was a form of like familial storytelling. It was an oral tradition.
Yeah.
Very frequently set to drums.
Yeah.
And there was also very frequently dancing.
Yeah.
And a lot of that dancing, as you showed me, very much resembles dancing that you see today, hip-hop style dance.
Not very much, absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So you've got this presence of this, what's now an African-American, style or cultural identity, right, that's evolved out of Africa. And music and movement and drum rhythms are a big part of it, right?
Yeah, and of course, call and response in church was a big part of it, as well as, gospel and calypso and salsa and, of course, jazz and the blues.
Right.
It's all rolled up as influences that eventually made its way to Jamaica.
Yeah.
To soldiers who were American soldiers stationed there in World War II.
Yeah, so we made our way from Africa to the West Indies, up to America. Mm-hmm. And then there was that boom, that birth of like jazz and all that made it then down back to Jamaica, part of what were the West Indies.
Yeah, it's a weird little circle. So when it gets taken back to Jamaica in World War II, there was something going on there in the Caribbean that was pretty cool, and really the birth of what hip hop and rap would become.
Yeah,
they had DJs there who had these big portable sound systems, and they would go play block parties and house parties and street parties, and started a tradition called toasting, which was sort of like early rap. It was kind of like the freestyle stuff in 8 Mile. Like a lot of times they were trying to one-up other DJs or cut down other DJs, and it was included over the music. And
have you ever listened to like a reggae show today? Like Reggae Fire on Album 88.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, you know how, like, they'll just turn on the music for a second, and they'll say something, and they'll turn the music back up, and they'll turn it down again. And, and I think that's toasting.
Yeah, I listened to some of it, too, like the early 80s toasting.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that led to 2 different types of new reggae music, which is talkover and dub. Talkover is kind of what we were just talking about, the toasting over music, and then dub just changed the song musically with like echo and massive amounts of bass or treble, reverb, stuff like that.
Yeah, it was like what you'd call now like a remix of a song, but it usually followed certain lines, like a lot of echo or always a lot more bass than the original version.
Yeah, exactly.
And they would throw that on the B-sides of the record. So you'd have the regular version, then the dub version. Right? So all this is going on in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And in the 60s, there was a kid named Clive Campbell who lived in Jamaica and grew up around this, toasting, street parties, portable sound systems.
Talk over.
Yeah. Dub. Basically changing and altering music to make it sound cooler with a heavier bass line.
Yeah.
And this kid, Clive Campbell, he moved to the Bronx in 1967.
Yeah.
And he eventually became somebody known as Kool Herc, who was the DJ who most people say was the originator of hip-hop.
That's right. That's Cool with a K. DJ Kool Herc. He's a legend.
He is.
Okay, so Kool Herc also, by the way, started the tradition of naming yourself as someone else.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't Clive. He was DJ Kool Herc.
Right.
And that became, of course, a tradition in rap and hip-hop.
It did, as we'll see.
So he had a big gig early on. His sister, I've heard various things from birthday party to back-to-school party, and he was well known as a tagger, like graffiti tagger, which we'll get to in a minute, how that plays a role. So people just showed up en masse to see who this famous tagger was. Like, DJ Kool Herc's going to be there. Let's go check it out.
Right.
So it was like a lot of folks there.
Yeah, they came for the tagging and stayed for the DJing, though.
That's right.
Because what they found at that time, when we're talking the 70s, right? Maybe the mid to late 70s.
Yeah.
If you went to a party and the DJ was there, the DJ just played a record and then ended. And, maybe if they were good, it was like the next one came on, right, before the first one ended. And it was, again, if you listen to the How Disco Works episode, this is where, this all came out of, like, was this block party right here, basically.
Right.
This is the birth of not just disco, or not just hip-hop, but disco, too.
That's right.
And so they saw that he was doing some pretty cool stuff. He had 2 turntables and a microphone. And he saw that when people were dancing, they would just kind of stand around. And then when like a really good part of the song would come up with lots of great beats or whatever, they'd dance. And he figured out along the way, and I think he figured out before this block party happened, that if you just take 2 versions of the same record, you can keep that one part going over and over again and just switch back and forth between the records playing that same part, and people will dance all the time. So when all those people turned out for his sister's party to see that graffiti tagger Herc, they came up against this DJing, and that was that. Yeah,
it's called a break beat, and it's typically like a drum break, and that's what the DJ is doing, if you don't know anything about it, when they have the little headphones up to their ears, is they're queuing up the spot on the second record so they can crossfade or toggle in the early ages right over to that next one without missing a beat.
Right.
And like you said, the dance party would just keep going on and on. They were like, this is insane.
Yeah, they were like, is this record ever going to end? No. But Kool Herc also did something else, too, that would give rise to this, right? He was big into toasting.
That's right. So he started doing the talkover. Evidently, the DJing became a little too complicated because, I mean, it's much easier nowadays with your eye devices to fake all this stuff.
Right.
But back then, they were like pioneering electronics and like figuring this stuff out.
Yeah.
And in fact, Grandmaster Flash was like the real guy.
Well, he
invented the crossfader.
Yeah.
And like he was really into electronics and figuring that junk out.
Right. So because it got more and more technical, it wasn't just playing a song and then like kind of turning down the volume for a second and talking over it and turning the volume back up.
Yeah.
If you wanted to toast, it was tough to kind of balance those two things. So Kool Herc enlisted the aid of Coke LaRock and Clark Kent to come toast for him.
The Herculoids.
Yeah, that's who they became. And they inadvertently established rapping.
Yeah, Coke LaRock is generally regarded as the first rapper.
That's so cool, man.
I know.
DJing got too technically involved, so they had to get somebody else to toast, and that became rapping.
Yeah.
That is so cool that like you can trace it back to that instance.
Yeah, and they started freestyle dancing too, and they're known as the first B-boys which is another term I think that Herc coined, B-boys and B-girls, which are breakdancers. So things start really kind of exploding from here on the DJ scene. Africa Bambaataa,
who, like you point out, was not born with that name. He named himself.
Kevin Donovan.
Yeah. Same with Grandmaster Flash. His parents did not name him Grandmaster.
His name was Joseph Sadler.
Right.
They were early on in the scene. Bambaataa was actually a former gang member, and so he saw the bad effects, the ill effects of gangs, and decided to form the Zulu Nation, which is like an awareness group to steer kids in a more positive direction in life.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the foundation of hip hop.
Yeah.
Early on was positivity and
silliness.
Yeah, doing the right thing.
Talking about food you like to eat.
Yeah.
Or, in contrast, talking about having a bad experience during a meal at another friend's house.
Yeah, was that a song?
Yeah.
My Bad Meal?
I can't remember what song it was. It might have been like the extended version of Rapper's Delight, but one of those really early songs.
Yeah.
Like they talk about going to your friend's house and the mom can't cook.
It's all very sweet and innocent.
Yeah, super. and it was all very positive too.
So Grandmaster Flash was a key innovator because, like I said, he was really into electronics, built the first crossfader. He is the first one that started punch phrasing.
Yeah.
Which is it's usually like a horn blast and just inserting a very short, quick bit of another song over a song.
Right. It's using two records, but not necessarily the same record. Two versions of the same record.
Yeah.
But you're still working them together. That's like modern DJing now.
That's right. And it's used to just like punctuate something. Scratching, he did not invent. That was Grand Wizard Theodore, supposedly.
Oh, wow.
And the story goes there is that he's in his bedroom playing a record and his mom comes in. It's like, turn that stuff off. And, he stops it with his hand. Then he's like, wait a minute, that sounded kind of cool. And just started doing it. And then Grandmaster Flash, really perfected it.
That's awesome. His mom came into his room to tell him to turn
That's the story. Even if it's not true, I love it. And beatbox, which is not the Fat Boys stuff, right?
No, but they're pretty good at it.
No, that's beatboxing.
Oh yeah, he created the beatbox, was just hooking a drum machine up to your turntables and just going to town. Yeah,
and I think that would help segue from one song to another to create just like a seamless effect.
Yeah.
All right, so this is all going on in the early '80s. Then they started these were just like parties at first. Then they actually started recording hip hop music. Got played on the radio. Mr. Magic's Rap Attack premiered in 1983 in New York City.
Yeah,
it's the first hip hop show, and then MCs started kind of coming to the forefront more as like the leader of the band instead of the DJ.
Yeah, you remember the huge confusion that DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince ran into. Yeah, they named it like their second album. Like I'm the rapper, he's the DJ.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because everybody thought the Fresh Prince was DJ Jazzy Jeff because they were caught in this transition where it's like, well, wait, I thought the DJ was supposed to be the front man of a group, but
right.
Yeah, it was the Fresh Prince.
Will Smith was like, no.
Yeah, so they named an album to clear things up. You don't remember that?
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
he's the perfect example of those early sweet songs, though.
Sure,
because his were all about I'm hanging out with my buddies and we're playing some games.
Yeah. Although there's one about an extended story about a traffic accident that leads to a court case, and he's sure that it's not his fault, but the lady's fault.
Was it like he was double parked or something?
No, she hit him.
Oh, okay. It was about a fender bender?
Yes.
That's as dark as he got?
Yeah.
Until the millennium.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. So, now we're in the 1980s.
Early 80s.
Things start kind of crossing over, of course, with Blondie's Rapture, which we all knew and loved.
Yep.
Right? And the Clash's Magnificent Seven, which is very much hip-hoppy in tone.
Yeah.
And some genuine stars start to kind of pop up on the scene, like Run DMC.
Fab Five Freddy.
LL Cool J.
Yeah.
Beastie Boys. Pete Rock. And Seal Smooth.
We already mentioned the Sugar Hill Gang, right?
I don't think we did.
We have to mention the Sugar Hill Gang.
Yeah, of course.
They had the first hit rap record ever, Rapper's Delight.
Sure.
And it was released, I think, in 1983, maybe, the same year as Rap Attack came out.
Was it?
And it was like, that put rap on the map.
Yeah, and people were like, what is this music?
And, Chuck, those who listened again to the Disco podcast will note that they made that record using Le Chic's Good Times.
That's right.
It all happened together.
Yeah, sampling too. I think we covered that in.
Yeah.
Boy, this is really all coming together, isn't it?
Man, it is.
All right, so the industry's changing a little bit at the time as well. Sugar Hill Records closes, Def Jam pops up.
Yeah.
Women all of a sudden are in the mix with Salt and Peppa and
MC Lyte.
yeah, Queen Latifah, of course.
Yeah.
They paved the way for people like Lauryn Hill, who I think just filed for bankruptcy.
Did she?
I think so.
She fell on rough times, didn't she?
Yeah, man, the Fugees had that one album. There's quite a few rap groups that had like one classic album, and then that was it.
Yeah.
Like Black Star and Fugees and I was trying to think there was one more. But, you know, usually they would break up like they did and become their own independent artists. That's how that happens.
Yeah, like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, or NWA and Dr. Dre,
Yeah.
or Wu-Tang Clan.
Goody Mob, of course.
Yeah.
CeeLo. Let's face it, friends, taking trips to the post office is probably not how you want to spend your time these days, right?
No, not at all, which is why we, as always, recommend mailing and shipping online with Stamps.com.
That's right. As you know, Stamps.com allows you to mail and ship anytime, anywhere, right from your computer, right there in your house. And you can pay a lot less with discounted rates from USPS, UPS, and more.
Yeah, Stamps.com is a must-have for any business, whether you're a small office sending out invoices or an online seller shipping out orders or even a giant warehouse sending thousands of packages a day. Stamps.com can handle it all with ease.
That's right. You get discounts of up to 40% from the post office rates and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates.
Yeah, so stop wasting time and going to the post office and go to Stamps.com instead. There's no risk, and with our promo code SYSK, you get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. That's Stamps.com, promo code SYSK. Stamps.com. Never go to the post office again.
SYSK.
You should know.
SYSK.
You should know. No, it's Brian. Josh Clark.
So where are we? Oh yeah, Public Enemy comes on the scene with like the black nationalism movement. MTV gets on it because it spreads from the East Coast to the West Coast.
Yeah, in 1988, Yo MTV Raps came out, and I remember being so happy that happened.
Really?
I remember being that age and thinking, like, where are the rap videos? Like, come on, MTV, waiting for them to do this, and they finally did. And then after that, it was like, okay, you can start playing these through the day, and then they finally did. About a year later, apparently, according to this article.
Yeah, after Yo MTV, it was like exclusively on Yo MTV Raps at first, right?
Which was like a half hour, an hour. And that was it. And I think they started making it more than just once a week, but then finally it's just like, forget it. We'll put rap on alongside of Def Leppard.
Right.
I don't think the world will end.
Or we'll put Run DMC in the same video as Aerosmith.
Yeah, and I wonder if that helped pave the way to just kind of like break the cell walls between these genres on MTV, you know?
Yeah, I think for sure.
Yeah.
It knocked down some walls.
Run DMC, super pioneers.
Knocked down walls. Remember the video?
Yeah, they kicked walls down.
They kicked walls down, literally.
Metaphorically and figuratively, huh? Oh, wait. I messed that up big time.
Literally and metaphorically.
Right, I said metaphorically and figuratively.
Yeah, and literally. All three. So, we are now progressing on to gangster rap. NWA, of course, and Ice-T. Snoop Doggy Dogg at first.
Yes, now Snoop Lion.
Yeah, then Snoop Dogg in between.
Right.
The dirty D.O.G., you see.
So was it was it NWA? Were they the first gangster rap?
She mentioned someone called Schoolie D, who I haven't heard of, so I don't know if Schoolie D was before.
I've heard his name, but I've never heard his stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, for sure NWA was the first one to ever like take gangster rap and turn it into a hit.
Yeah, nice guys with attitudes.
Yeah, and then they were another group that like broke up into like just really successful spin-off recordings. Eazy-E's debut album is arguably one of the best ever made.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah, Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
He had a pretty successful career.
Well, The Chronic was my soundtrack for like about 18 months in college.
So, and then, Snoop Dogg's was awesome too.
Yeah, and Ice
he
Cube.
discovered him. Ice Cube had a great career too. MC Ren, DJ Pooh, like the whole group was just awesome.
Yeah, they just had a show at the Fox like 2 nights ago.
What?
LL Cool J, De La Soul, Public Enemy,
What?
Ice Cube, and like 1 or 2 other acts.
How did I not hear about this?
LL Cool J put it together. I don't know. It was supposed to be pretty good. The reviews are in the AJC today.
Yeah, I'll bet it was good.
Yeah.
It's like a 7-hour show.
Yeah, well, I don't think they each played that long, but I think it's like 3.5 hours.
Well,
It's pretty cool.
yeah.
So gangster rap, like we said, that was ushered in, and the original intent of hip hop started to get lost at this point.
Oh yeah,
Like in a big way.
Eating food that you liked and talking about it.
Cheerios for breakfast.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like you were pretty on the outs as far as hip hop was concerned when NWA came along and started talking about gangster rap, right?
Well, they were side by side there for a while.
Right, and then gangster rap won out
Yeah.
because people are cynical.
And of course, the gang violence and drug dealing and poverty and misogyny were all hallmarks of gangster rap.
Yeah, which is still very much around today.
Oh, yeah.
Even though what's interesting, it's like gangster rap was a subgenre of hip hop that eventually came over or took over and became hip hop. And then now that's broken up into other subgenres, but the source material is typically the same.
Yeah, and I think another difference, too, just thinking about it, is gangster rap back then was very much like, I'm poor.
Yeah.
And now it seems to be more like, I'm rich.
Right.
You know?
But I'm still like hail from the ghetto, so I've got
True.
cred.
True.
And I'm still very violent, and I carry a gun, and I'm not afraid to use it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but like NWA and those guys, they never talked about having money ever because they didn't.
Right. They were
They're
just
early in their careers, they were just poor guys.
right, and they were being kept down, and they were upset about it,
That's right.
to say the least.
So alongside it, though, you did have some great bands like Tribe Called Quest
Yeah.
and De La Soul and Farside, who either had a positive message or were just like Farside, just having a good time.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like
they're
good
from
music.
California.
Yeah, I love those guys. They had a great. Their first album was killer.
Bizarre Ride to the Far Side.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Still holds up, too, I think.
Yeah, totally. Wu-Tang came around, and of course they launched the careers of like a dozen guys, it seemed like.
Yeah, they were kind of a hybrid. Like, they would talk about violence and misogyny and all that as well, but that wasn't all it was about. Like,
No.
there were some pretty smart guys involved in Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Tupac?
Yeah.
She mentions Warren G and Sir Mix-a-Lot. I wasn't so into them.
Sir Mix-a-Lot was awesome. He was like kind of a throwback. Like, after the transition had been made, Sir Mix-a-Lot was still like talking about butts and buttermilk biscuits and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, he
Yeah, that's
never, and he wore like floor-length mink coats and stuff like that.
That Butts and Buttermilk Biscuits should
Yeah.
be the name of your rap album.
Yeah.
DJ Josh Clark.
I've got like an accordion on the album cover.
KRS-One was really big in my life, too. I was a big fan of KRS-One.
Yeah, he was great.
Boogie Down Productions. And then both Gangstar and Black Star I was a big fan of.
Yeah.
At the time.
I like Gangstar too. I
were
like
awesome.
DJ Hurricane, but DJ Premier.
Who's that?
He's the Gangstar DJ.
Oh, really?
Yeah, him and Guru. That was Gangstar.
Oh, okay.
But it was like, and I like Guru, but the two of them together, it was always weird to me. Like, it was so.
Yeah.
I was never like even though I think Gangstar's Code of the Streets is one of the best rap albums ever made.
Yeah, agreed.
It's just like they were each doing their own thing side by side. It didn't mesh
You think?
and create something together, but it was like two really talented people doing something amazing at once.
I haven't pulled that one out in a while.
It's a good one.
Like you said, more subgenres like combining rap with hard rock music and metal music.
Yep.
was a big deal.
Body Count, Ice-T's little band.
Yeah, I saw them.
Did you?
Yeah, at Lollapalooza.
Yeah.
Yeah, that didn't count. And then things spread down south, of course, with Two Live Crew and groups like Outkast and Ludacris and Timbaland and Goody Mob.
Yeah.
Very much like Atlanta-based.
Dirty South.
Two Live Crew was Florida, I think, but
Yeah.
the dirty South.
Well, then you have like New Orleans bounce, and I think that's where like crumping came from too. Is the South, right?
I think so. I'm not sure though. Do you know?
No,
Okay.
I asked.
Things are changing back these days, I think, with regards to the gangster thing. That's still around, but there are other acts out there that Daryl McDaniels of Run DMC said that, it's kind of coming back around because he's like, some of this music's great to listen to in a club, but he's like, what are you going to do the rest of the day?
Right.
Like, we need this to be all-day music.
Yeah.
And like Kanye West, I was a big fan of his early on, not so much now.
Yeah.
And who's that guy? Drake? He's pretty good.
Yeah.
You listen to that?
No, I haven't listened to any new hip hop in a long time.
Kanye, Get the College Dropout from 2004.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
That's his first one?
Yeah. It was amazing.
I will check it out.
So, that's a little bit on music. I guess we should talk about graffiti some.
Well, yeah, a lot of people say graffiti is its own thing. It's not a part of the four, pillars of hip hop.
Right.
And people who are into hip hop say, shut up. It is too. And most people agree that graffiti is pretty much extractable from hip hop. But graffiti came first.
Yeah, that's true.
Modern graffiti tagging, which is another word for it. And if you're into that kind of thing, you should check out our surprisingly interesting episode on how aerosol cans work.
That's right.
Started in the 60s. And you can actually trace this back to its point of origin pretty much, too, to a guy named...
Demetrius.
Right, what was his tag?
Taki 183.
T-A-K-I.
Not Turk 182.
No, but was that based on him, you think?
It was inspired by that, yeah.
I gotcha. And it was a little Greek kid named Demetrius who in the 60s started... he was a messenger. He worked for a messenger service, and he had a marker, and he put that together with his nickname, Taki, and the street they lived on, West 183rd Street.
Yep.
Which is way up there.
Oh, yeah.
And he started leaving his tag all over the city.
Yeah, and the New York Times wrote an article that you can actually get on his website. It's like scanned in there. It's kind of cool to read. Mm-hmm. From 1971 called Taki 183 Spawns Pen Pals. And it was the first, people were like, this guy's writing his name on things.
Right. But it's not really his name, and there's numbers.
Yeah, it's so funny to think about now because tagging's just so ubiquitous,
Well, he also got kind of good at making it look a little pretty. Yeah. It wasn't just, he didn't write it in cursive or anything like that. And
right.
He developed what became a tag. Like it was the same thing every time after a while.
Yeah.
And Kool Herc actually became a tagger.
Yeah.
And from that started emulating Taki 183. And that was how people came to know Kool Herc before he was a DJ.
That's right. And of course it evolved beyond tagging, as everybody on the planet knows. Mm-hmm. It became an art form unto itself, building murals, entire trains, very colorful, sort of three-dimensional aspects. It's I feel like we don't need to spend too much time trying to describe it, because if you don't know what graffiti looks like, then just go outside.
Yeah.
Unless you live in Kansas and they don't do that kind of stuff there. It got a little reputable in the 70s when Patty Astor actually featured graffiti in the Fun Gallery, her art gallery, mm-hmm. and now it's a common thing,
Yeah.
Have graffiti galleries all the time.
And those hip-hop historians who say, yes, graffiti is part of hip-hop, point to the convergence between hip-hop and graffiti and say that it's centered around a tagger named Hayes, who's got a pretty awesome website.
Eric Hayes.
It's like this kind of throwback to, it's like a timeline of like hip-hop and graffiti.
Really?
Like if you go through his stuff, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, he did the Check Your Head font.
Yeah, and he was also, I guess, into photography too, because some of the album covers he did, either he did the fonts for him or whatever, but
right.
He did Public Enemy, he did Young MC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he did Tone Loc's albums. So he's doing all these album covers, and he's a tagger. So from that point on, people were like, okay, well, this is part of hip hop now.
Yeah.
I don't care what you have to say.
Did you see Up in the Air, the Clooney movie?
Yeah. Remember, I was like, I hate how it ended. You're like, that's the name of the movie.
I don't remember that. But remember the Young MC when he did the corporate party?
Mm-mm.
He did Bust a Move.
No, I don't remember that part.
They crashed the corporate party, and he was like the entertainment for the night. But
that was in Up in the Air?
Yeah.
I thought that was an episode of Scrubs or The Office.
No, it was an Up in the Air, and it really just sort of like nailed that whole like, Verizon's going to do a party and they're going to hire a rapper. They get Young MC.
Right.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Are we to dancing yet?
I think we are. We've covered the music. We've covered graffiti. Yeah. Now we're on to dancing.
Okay. Well, breakdancing obviously is most synonymous with hip hop, but all kinds of other dancing, popping and locking, boogaloo, grinding, down rocking, the Harlem Shake.
Yeah,
which is an original thing, right?
Yeah. There's a video from like 2006 or something that this guy did. I can't remember who it was. But he it's like the Harlem Shake is the real one. And if you see this and then you see like all the YouTube viral videos that were going on recently, and you just see how far off everybody was from the actual Harlem Shake.
Yeah.
The people in Harlem were actually getting mad. Like, what are you doing? Like, this isn't, do you even know what the Harlem Shake looks like? It was almost like
the answer is no.
YouTube turned into the Bluth family and everybody was doing the chicken dance.
Right.
Even though none of them had ever seen a chicken before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what a lot of people were doing with the Harlem Shake.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But breakdancing is what we're going to concentrate on because it's pretty cool. Head spins, back spins.
Tell them about that video you sent.
The windmill. Oh, yeah. Just get on YouTube and look at Breakdance 1940s. And
that's it.
That dude is breakdancing.
Yeah, and it's clearly the 1940s.
Yeah. I was like, am I being tricked here? Is this some fake?
It looked pretty authentic.
I think it's authentic.
Yeah.
But that was full-on breakdancing.
Yeah.
Like at first I was like, oh, that's sort of breakdancing. And then he got on the floor and I was like, that's totally breakdancing.
Right.
So it's been around.
He does the worm.
Yeah, he sort of did the worm, and he was doing that.
Doing like windmills and stuff.
Well, not quite a windmill, but close to a windmill.
It was pretty close.
Windmill, by the way, I was obsessed with trying to learn that in my ute, and never came close, obviously.
I, too, was a breaker in my youth.
See, I wasn't.
All
that was
I needed.
The problem.
Oh, I was. I took breakdancing lessons. I made it on the front page of the Peach section, which was the entertainment section of Toledo Blade, while I was breakdancing in like a tracksuit my mom made me by hand.
Man, do you have a copy of that?
I don't know where it is. God. It might be out there somewhere. I had a Break in Ohio T-shirt.
I wasn't as into it as
that
that at
cap,
all.
the French Foreign Legion cap.
Yeah.
I had the whole, man, I was a breaker. Even though I sucked at it, I was a breaker.
Could you do the windmill?
No, that's what I'm saying. I sucked.
Yeah. When you get a good windmill
like
going,
every day.
That's like really impressive still to me today.
I could never do that. I get headaches from doing head spins and just fall over immediately, but it was fun.
The suicide, too. Did you ever do that?
Nope.
That's a pretty cool move. That's the one where the guy basically, she says backflip, but I've most often seen it as a front flip.
Yeah.
You come in and you just flip and land on your back, and the whole point is to make it look painful. Like the harder it is, and the more people go, oh,
right.
It's like the more successful suicide.
That's when you know you got the crowd in the palm of your hand.
Exactly.
And you don't stop then. No way.
No, you can't stop breaking.
Yumi took me to the World Breakdance Championships a couple of years ago, like the world.
Was it awesome?
It was at Relapse Theater, the old one on 14th Street.
I was in Atlanta?
Yeah. And they had it here in this little theater, and like people from all over the world who were like the best at breakdancing were just there, like in break-offs and stuff. We just stood around for like 8 hours and watched like the best breakdancing you can possibly imagine.
That's
right
awesome.
there. It was very awesome.
So, not surprisingly, I think you even said earlier, breakdancing came from West Africa as well.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the key elements, this herky-jerky all-over body movement, interaction with the floor.
Yeah.
Like not with just your feet, obviously.
Right.
Pantomime and improvisation all came from West Africa and migrated on the slave ships, kind of joined up with some Caucasian dancing, like the Lindy Hop and the Charleston.
Well, a lot of those grew out of African American dancing, like cakewalk.
Right.
Which is an African American thing that actually is like terribly... you should read this blog post I wrote on it once, the origin of the term cakewalk.
Uh-huh.
You'll never use it again. But the idea of people lining up and watching other people dancing and then taking turns and all that comes from the cakewalk.
Huh.
So like people waiting to like jump in and all that. And it was in that breakdancing 1940s video you sent. People were just kind of standing aside. Yeah. Somebody else would come in, push somebody else to the side, and they were taking over. Like that comes from the cakewalk.
Later became the Soul Train line.
Right. Yeah.
which is some of the best footage like ever. Still.
Yes. You can put any halfway decent song to like a Soul Train lineup, and it's just brilliant after
Yeah.
that.
The other thing that influenced too was came from the Caribbean as well and South America in the form of, and I even saw a video on how to pronounce this. It's a Brazilian martial art, capoeira.
Capoeira. Capoeira.
Capoeira.
I don't think that's right.
That's what he said.
Are you sure?
Dude, it was a video on how to pronounce the word. But I'm sure I didn't do it quite right, but yours is definitely wrong. But martial arts as a whole, like Kung Fu was really big in that community.
Yeah.
And so like Bruce Lee and all these guys, they tried to like emulate those dance moves.
Yeah. And that's
Or
why you see
karate
so
moves.
much like fake fighting
Yeah.
in breakdancing. Because they're all
Everybody was-
really just kind of good kids. They spend all their time practicing dance moves.
Yeah.
And so, like, all the fighting is all just like, hey, I'm getting in your face. Oh, no, I'm getting in your face now. And then, oh, no, you're not. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's as far as it goes.
Good, clean fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to outdance you.
Yeah. And, like, there's probably no other part of hip hop culture that more carries on the original tradition of, like, just, you know, don't mean any real harm or anything like that. Whereas having a good time and, like, this is what's cool.
Yeah.
Than the breakdancing aspect of it. Really.
Yeah, agreed. And crumping today, you see the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's battling each other to see who's the best.
Yep.
It's kind of fun to watch. In the 80s, it was like breakdancing became a across-the-board commodity, like big time.
Again, I had a Breakin' Ohio t-shirt that my mom purchased for me.
Yeah, probably like pennies or something.
Yeah.
The movie Wild Style, which is the first hip-hop movie, led to Star Wars, Breakin', of course, Breakin' 2.
Electric Boogaloo. I got that soundtrack in my Easter basket one year.
Beat Street. I was a little too old, I guess.
For Breakin'?
Maybe so, or no, I was listening to the Allman Brothers and stuff.
I gotcha.
That was the deal.
I clearly remember my two older sisters having a conversation while we were all watching Breakin' 2. And they agreed that the girl was really more of a flash dancer than a break dancer.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. And
Well-
the other one went, mm-hmm.
Yeah, Flashdance had a little breaking style. in it,
Everything had to. Burger King commercials.
though. Yeah,
Apparently, Wrangler had a line of jeans ready to go in 1984 called Rapid Transit, starting with the W.
Yeah.
Like Wrangler. That didn't get off the ground.
the moonwalk, of course, which was not invented by Michael Jackson.
No, but he was good at it.
Well, yeah, he was great at it. The guy I could find was in 1955. Bill Bailey at a Showtime at the Apollo show. It's on YouTube.
Is it as good as Michael Jackson's? Can anybody top Michael Jackson's moonwalk?
It's not as good, but he clearly moonwalks. It's not like, well, this is a version. I mean, he moonwalks off the stage
Right.
in the 1950s.
Well, okay, so moonwalking goes back to the 50s. They say, and they being, I think, Kool Herc or Africa Boombata, one of the two said that they think breakdancing finds its origins in a James Brown dance, to Get on the Good Foot.
Oh, from that song?
Yeah, which is from I believe the 60s. That is based on that.
Yeah. And backsliding is what the originators call moonwalking, by the way.
Yeah.
So like we said, it's a commodity, it's video games, it's clothing lines. They start selling, gear and knee pads and special mats to use,
When all you needed was a refrigerator box.
Exactly. What was that for? For just to make
So
the
you
ground
could-
not
yeah,
as
yes.
or slicker or whatever?
Yeah. So you're not like doing a head spin on gravel.
Yeah, that was a dumb question actually. But I like I said, I wasn't into it. Things started to die down in the 80s though.
Yeah, they did.
Sort
I
of the late
remember.
80s. But it came back big time in the 90s.
It did.
Like the late-ish 90s.
And it's still around. Like it never really went away.
Yeah, and that led to crumping, like we said, which is my favorite thing to watch on the internet right now.
Did you see the crump off on Venice Beach? That one?
I did see that one.
That was pretty great, huh?
That was good.
It's just nuts.
Well, it looks just so out of control, but it's not.
Right.
That's what makes it so great to me, I think.
Crumping's pretty great, I think we can all agree.
So, are we on to fashion?
I think we are at Pillar 4.
Well, let's talk about it. Comfy clothes is really how it started.
Yeah, if you have ever seen the TV show What's Happening,
Yeah.
remember Rerun?
Oh, yes.
He was dressing pretty hip-hop at the time.
Yeah.
Suspenders. He wore a beret, but it could have very easily been a Kangol hat. I think
Yeah.
he wore Converse. comfy shoes.
Yeah, Adidas is really the brand, though, or was.
It was. But at the time, that was super hip-hop.
Yeah, just loose, comfortable clothing.
With a T-shirt underneath.
That you could breakdance to. She even contends that the comfort level of the sneakers was why they left them untied early on, just to be even looser in the shoes and not have, like, your shoes tight.
Gotcha.
I don't know about that, though.
Yeah.
Apparently out west, it was military-inspired, and boots were a little more popular on the West Coast.
Yeah. Is that where Public Enemy's from? Are they West Coast? They're New York, right?
Yeah, I mean, Chuck D lives in Atlanta now and has for a while.
I would like to meet Chuck D.
I would too. But they were not Chuck B. Meet Chuck D.
Yeah. Chuck Bronson.
Yeah. But they weren't from Atlanta, obviously. Where was Public Enemy from?
I don't know.
I guess New York. But they weren't one of those that they didn't talk about where they were from. They weren't like
they were
East
worldwide.
Coast, West Coast. They were worldwide, exactly. Yeah. And then Run DMC, of course, brought in the cool black jeans and black leather, and
they had the movie Tougher Than Leather.
Was that a movie?
Yeah.
I never saw that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did.
I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No. And one of the few movies I've ever walked out on in my life was Disorderlies, the Fat Boys movie.
Yeah.
I was in 6th grade and I was like, this is unwatchable.
Well, everyone was trying to tap into that thing.
Crush Groove thing?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that one?
Oh, yeah. Crush Groove was pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
None of these age well, by the way.
Oh, no, I haven't seen any of them in a long time.
Even the good ones don't age well. And then the Adidas, of course, with Run DMC, and they also ushered in the Kangols in earnest and the big rope gold chains, and lots of them. And who else did she credit with that?
Oh, Curtis Blow.
That's right. Curtis Blow.
We got to the bottom of that one.
And along with the black nationalism and the sort of remember our roots back to Africa came a big clothing boom.
Mm-hmm.
I remember very well in high school, African-inspired clothing.
Yeah.
And the red, yellow, and black and green.
Huge. Yeah, everything that everybody was wearing in the late 80s was super African-inspired.
Yeah.
Just bold prints and all that. Like everything Kid and Play were wearing.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember that dance, too, where they like jump through they'd hold their foot.
Yeah, I used to
with
could
an
do
arm.
that.
I could never do that.
There's no way I could do it now.
I would like
to kill
see
myself. No way. But Chris Cross, of course, wore backwards clothing.
Yeah.
One of those guys just died.
I know.
Very sad.
Yeah.
And then the basketball jersey, really baggy clothing started to become the norm through the 90s, and that's still sort of the style today.
Yeah, and supposedly that comes from a like prison wear where you're not allowed to wear a belt.
Yeah, that's the urban legend.
That's where the SAG came from. Yeah, CNN is quoted as the source here, so take that with a grain of salt.
And also with the do-rag, supposedly, is another prison wear thing.
Yeah, and then just like with breakdancing, hip-hop style became a pretty big business commodity, too.
Yeah.
Like Russell Simmons started Fat Farm, which is, I think, still around today, right?
Yeah, if you look at most any rap mogul now, it'll say, like, producer, rapper, clothing designer.
Right.
Like, they're just smart to maximize their brand.
Yeah, it says here that Jay-Z sold Rocawear for $204 million. Wow. Everything that guy touches turns to gold.
Yeah, or platinum. Because platinum, Josh, is where the gold went. It kind of transformed into platinum.
Right. It's like alchemy.
Yeah, like shiny, silvery platinum and diamond encrusted
grills,
bling grills, very popular.
Yeah,
that started out as just like the one gold cap, and then turned into like the grills that you can get today are just unbelievable.
And I don't think we could ever have a conversation about hip hop fashion without mentioning wearing a huge clock as a pendant around a necklace.
Flav.
Yeah, or wearing a stolen Mercedes hood ornament.
Yeah.
As a necklace pendant.
Who did that?
The Beastie Boys.
Oh, that's
Mike
right.
D.
I thought you were going to say the multi-finger ring.
Yeah, you got that too.
That was big because of and Do the Right Thing, Love and Hate. He had the two rings.
Who was that? The guy with the radio, Raheem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that again the other day, man. That movie just blows me away still. It's very powerful.
I like his later work more.
Yeah, you liked it when he got away from...
Like Inside
Spike Lee
Man
joints.
and 25th Hour. I like those a lot. I still like Do the Right Thing, but
Sure.
I just like him branching out.
I hear you. And also, designer labels became a big thing, like Tommy Hilfiger and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Became really popular. And now, of course, you go anywhere on planet Earth, and you're going to see hip-hop in pretty much any country you go to.
You sure are.
It is all over the world. It is a global product.
And, hey, squares and parents, it ain't going anywhere, so just get used to it.
That's right. I think a lot of people thought it was a flash in the pan.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know, like this rap won't be around long.
Yeah.
Suckers.
Yeah, it's outlasted a lot of other stuff.
Agreed.
So there you
anything
go.
else?
We got electronic music to do next.
Or we do have that dubstep article.
Yeah, I don't know.
No.
If you want to learn more about hip-hop, you can type those words into the search bar at howstuffworks.com, and it will bring up this extremely large article on it. And I think I said hip-hop, so it's time for a message break.
Stuff you should know.
Are you getting cash back rewards for money you're already spending? I mean, who doesn't love that, right?
Yeah, well, get this, Chuck. With Discover, you earn cash back on EVERY every purchase, including your dinner for date night out, or the new pajamas you just got, or in the past year, probably that new streaming service you signed up for.
That's right. You might be spending more on groceries than ever this past year.
Mm-hmm.
Want to spend a little money on a loved one? The cash back you earn will be matched by Discover automatically.
Yeah, having a credit card that matches the rewards you already earn is one small thing you can do to stress less about your finances.
And get this, Discover makes it even easier because Discover Card is accepted at 99% of places that accept credit cards.
So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply. 2021 Nielsen Report.
Hey friends, Apartments.com knows that we've been doing everything from home lately. Working from home, exercising from home, schooling from home, breakfast, lunch, and dinnering from home, wishing we were anywhere else on the planeting from home.
Yeah, but with all that extra time we've had inside our homes, we've gained a newfound appreciation for making sure our place is the right place for us. And that is where Apartments.com comes in.
Apartments.com has the most rental listings across apartments, houses, townhomes, and condos, as well as powerful search tools so it's easy to find that special somewhere that offers exactly what you need.
Yes, and thanks to its 3D virtual tours, you can now explore your potential new place from anywhere.
That includes such exotic locales as your boudoir, your walk-in pantry, your alfresco dining area.
Very nice.
Even your guest powder room if you're feeling adventurous.
Yeah, and just about anywhere with an internet connection. So let your fingers enjoy a stroll across the nearest keyboard and visit Apartments.com to start your rental search today. Apartments.com, the most popular place to find a place.
And now listener mail time.
Josh, since we were talking about international things toward the end of that show,
Yeah.
I'm going to give a couple of international shouts because we like hearing from our listeners in foreign lands.
Yes, we do.
So the first one is from France, and we actually asked in our Three Musketeers cast if we had French listeners. Hi guys, just wanted to drop you a few lines as I was just listening to your podcast on the Three Musketeers. You were wondering if there were any French up there listening to you. I am one of them. I've been listening to all of your podcasts from the beginning when even the podcast was not even the great pair of you.
Oh, wow.
I am talking about your podcast to all my friends, and I feel that I know you well from all these hours spent with you. I always laugh when you make fun of the French and our accent. I do not always understand your 100% U.S. references, but love to hear about new things. Take care from Paris, and that's Julie.
Thanks a lot.
And then, hi guys, Josh, Chuck, and Jerry. My name is Daniel. I live in Jerusalem. I work in a bakery in the city and love listening to you guys while I work. I want to share a funny little story. One day at work, my boss got mad at me and told me I can't have my headphones during work. And then I told him I was listening to a learning podcast and not music. So to prove I'm not distracted.
Okay, is the boss like Nurse Ratched or something like that?
I guess so. To my surprise, he asked what's the name of the podcast. Confused me a little bit, but I told him it was SYSK. And I was really shocked when he took out his own phone and showed me his iTunes library was packed with the stuff you should know. So you guys have helped me get through long, depressing shifts with your humor and knowledge. And that is from Daniel in Israel.
Nice, Daniel. Thank you for that. Daniel and Julie.
Yeah, from France.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you listening over there and standing up to your boss.
Yeah.
When he's all like, hey, you can't listen to music. But you can listen to stuff you should know.
And bake.
We're like international ambassadors, basically.
Agreed.
If you want to tell us how we're ambassadors in some weird way, we want to know that, okay? What's the problem? Just do it. You can tweet to us at SYSK Podcast. You can go to Facebook.com. You can go to StuffPodcast@Discovery.com. I'm ready for this one to be done. And you can join us at our home on the web, StuffYouShouldKnow.com.
For more on this and thousands of other topics, visit HowStuffWorks.com.
Today on News 4 at 4, we're working for you. An inside look at the local COVID vaccine trial for kids, what children reported days after getting the shot, and how it could impact the timeline of kids being vaccinated. Today at 4 p.m., NBC4.
Tonight, it's The Voice Live rounds, and Nick Jonas wants his first win.
Get this done.
Who's got what it takes, and whose dream ends here? Watch live and vote to save your faith. The Voice Live rounds, tonight on NBC.
Oh, hey, you. It's Nicole Lappin, New York Times bestselling author, the only financial expert you don't need a dictionary to understand, and now the host of the new iHeartRadio daily podcast, Money Rehab. So here's the deal. I'm going to rehab your wallet so that you can get your financial life together once and for all. Trust me, I know money talk can be scary, and that's why my episodes are just 10-ish minutes. No frills, just bite-sized tips and tricks so you waste no time. Because time is money. And here at Money Rehab, you're not just a listener. I want you to come on the show. Ask me your burning money questions, and I'll answer them. Nothing is off limits. Listen to Money Rehab on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts. The time for your intervention is now. So let's make some change.